To Ambassador Ibrahim Olabi. He's the permanent representative of Syria to the United Nations. Ibrahim, thanks so much for being with us. So, first of all, what mechanisms are in place to ensure that this ceasefire holds on the ground, especially after we've seen intense clashes earlier this month?
Good evening. Well, the mechanisms that are in place are the facts on the ground, right? There is no kind of specific monitoring mechanism and so on. This is not a deal with kind of an external party or, where, we need third parties to be involved and so on. This is a deal that's informed by realities on the ground, and in a way that is the best guarantor for its implementation. What has happened over the last 3-4 days in terms of the surgical law enforcement operation in Kurdish, predominantly Kurdish areas in Aleppo, was the main or the kind of starting point for a lot of Kurds around the country to feel safe, because it was done through, by the book. I was told by one UN individual who looks at these issues: humanitarian corridors, people being looked after, and so on. And so that sent a signal to Kurds around the country that it's not a problem when it comes to Kurds. Then came the decree, Decree 13, that enshrined for the very first time Kurdish rights in kind of Syrian law and in Syrian culture and so on. And so it became more of a kind of a military faction situation versus the government, up until the kind of uprising from the residents of Raqqa and Deir Zor, who took up arms against SDF forces. And so in a way, the element of Raqqa and Deir Zor is already kind of informed by what has happened already on the ground. The rest, in a way, is yet to be seen, but we are optimistic that the facts on the ground is the best way that ensures that this deal is to move forward.
Raqqa, of course, was once a Daesh stronghold, and Daesh members are in jail there, detained. How is that issue of Daesh detainees being handled in the integration process?
Like any state, we have responsibilities, and part of those responsibilities is looking after prisons. We have a Ministry of Interior, we have a Ministry of Justice, and they're in charge of looking after any detainees. Of course, these specific detainees have kind of an additional sensitivity, which we are very much aware of, but that will be dealt with by the kind of the state apparatus as it is. President Ahmed al-Shara, long before he became president, was fighting ISIS. Then the government officially did so for many months, and then we joined the anti-ISIS coalition and working with many countries around the world to be able to ensure that, first of all, these members don't cause any harm to Syrians, first and foremost, and of course no harm to the region.
The SDF, of course, have controlled such a vast chunk of the country. I mean, so far discussions on integration have been on the military level, but what about political arrangements? When will that be discussed?
Well, the issue, first of all, in terms of kind of who governs Hasaka and so on, we've agreed that, a decree will come out to decide that. Issues of administration, also the state will be able to provide all kind of, state infrastructure for the administrative side, the control of borders and so on, like any state should be. What we have done as well, and this is a big difference between this kind of agreement and the March 10th agreement, is that this agreement hails the decree number 13 rather than kind of requests for any more rights, in a way that we have proactively issued Decree 13. President Ahmed Shara has done so, that kind of enshrines a lot of Kurdish rights into Syrian law. And so that's the kind of cultural bit, the admin bit, where kind of, restoring state institutions, and the military bit is for SDF to dissolve and for individual fighters after security screenings to be able to join the Syrian military. So in a way, it is a comprehensive deal that deals with the different elements, and so we're hoping that we're on the right path for calm and stability in the north and eastern region of Syria.
And we know in the last couple of days, Syrian troops have seized major oil and gas fields in the east. I mean, how important is Syria's oil wealth being under government control now for the future prosperity of the country?
Incredibly important, because the government is in charge of distributing the wealth of this country in an equitable manner within the best interest of all Syrians, not just a specific region. That's the beauty of Syria. It's diverse, in its people, but and cultures, but it's also diverse in its resources. There with oil and gas in the east, we have the coastal region, which is a kind of touristic area, but also has the ports. You have different parts of Syria that are more kind of for agriculture. culture, and so on. And that is why President Ahmed al-Shara has insisted that Syria needs to be unified and under one control, because Syria cannot survive. One part of Syria cannot survive without the other, either in terms of the families and the people and using diversity as a strength, or in its natural resources. And so the government getting its hand on the dam, for example, played a big role. The one showing on the screen now, or the oil fields plays a major role in the recovery of Syria that has suffered under 14 years of brutal war and 60 years of dictatorship.
On a personal level, Ibrahim, I mean, you've been working for the Syrian people for most of your career, really, as a lawyer working on, I understand, human rights violations under Assad. I mean, I wonder how you're feeling at this point about the future of Syria.
It seems a lifetime ago since I've got a question like that. Although it's only been a year since the liberation of Syria, and 4 months on the job. For us, it's been phenomenal, really, to witness the miracles that Syria has gone through, from being a country that's being stigmatized with refugees and terrorism and chemical weapons and so on, to a country that is now has the kind of political and military strength that it has, the respect that it has, where the dignity of Syrians has been restored. I mean, here at the UN, Syria is a country that is hailed because it's come back to the international fold. It's able to engage with states, is able to negotiate with states, is able to decide for it, for itself, in something that has never happened, in decades. But of course, we've had a lot of challenges, and our responsibility and what we should be judged on is how we respond to a lot of these challenges. But for me personally, it's a big responsibility for me to be sat in the seat that I'm in, representing so many different people, millions of people who've gone through an incredible, difficult period of time, but who are all now hopeful, resilient, working together for a better future that they all deserve.
Really appreciate your time with us, Ambassador Ibrahim Olabi, permanent representative of Syria to the United Nations. Thank you.